Hi, welcome to Live from the Lockdown Lounge. It is Saturday night. Woohoo! And you're still in lockdown. No woohoo for that. Thank you for joining us. My name is Brian. You are watching Live from the Lockdown Lounge, and this is Backline Week. We are supporting and elevating all the backliners. We are elevating the backliner above the front line. That's what we do here. We look after the musos. We are brought to you by the amazing people at Cranbourne Music. And do you know what? Cranbourne Music stores are open. Both stores are open. They've got their Limbrook store and their Elizabeth Street City store. You can shop online, you can click and collect, or you can get it delivered. Just go in the store and say, hey, help me out with some musical instruments, and they will help you. Thank you, Cranbourne Music. We love you. They love us. More importantly, they love us because they're sponsoring us. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. Thank you for inviting me into your lounge room, into your bedroom. And yes, we said on Thursday night, some people into their toilet. Why you would want to watch me in your toilet? I don't know, but hey, if it's good for ratings, it's good for ratings. We have all of your favourite segments tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got chat, we've got music, we've got gig chicken, we've got coping with lockdown. Now stay on board for coping with lockdown, because we've got a lady who is trying to cope with lockdown by reading a children's book, and it's called Brenda's Beaver. Yes, I will say that again. Brenda's Beaver, a children's book. Anyway, when you buy a book online and you're thinking, gee, I need to read my kids a story, this isn't the book to read to them. But stay tuned, right till the very end, and you will hear about Brenda's Beaver. You know what? We've got the new segment back when I thought I was cool. Now, this is a great entry from our guest tonight, so I'm really looking forward to the backstory from that one. We've got Pets Are Good for Ratings, and in fact, now we are going to go to Pets Are Good for Ratings, and, you know, there's a tenuous link between pets and music, so we try and find videos where pets are somehow involved with music. Here is a dog singing while the little kid plays harmonica. We think the dog is singing. It could be in great pain. Let's roll the video. Okay, is it the dog singing or is it in great pain? I think great pain. But anyway, Pets Are Good for Ratings. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Backline Week, and I'm very, very excited to introduce our next guest to you. I've actually gigged with this gentleman before, and he is awesome. I've seen a lot of his online stuff, which is also awesome. And how we start this always is by reading the rap sheet. Now, our backline star musician heralds from Gippsland, Victoria, the Valley. Now, we've been advertising him as a Melbourne guitar vocalist, and apparently that's taboo because he's from Gippsland, not from Melbourne, Gippsland. Okay, so all those Gippslandians that out there that were so offended that we said Melbourne, I apologise. Okay, please write letters, write angry letters to us, because any kind of communication we're happy with. So he's from Gippsland. He's been dominating the Gippsland music industry for well over 20 years. His love of guitar was nourished by his parents buying his first album, Deepest Purple, the very best of Deep Purple. One of the first riffs he learnt was Black Knight. If you're unsure how that goes, no, I probably shouldn't sing it, no. He describes himself as a musician who loves using his ears to transcribe and learn. It sounds very difficult to me. How you can use your ear to transcribe. Wait a sec. No. That's not going to work. You see, that was a visual gag, ladies and gentlemen, what we call in the TV industry a visual gag. Not glag, a visual gag. A visual clag is a whole other show. He's been playing solo, duo, bands. He has an intricate understanding and passion for music history and musical pieces, which is involved in his passion for teaching and passing on his knowledge to the next generation of guitarists. He is very passionate, and when you see his YouTube stuff, you'll see he's very, very passionate, and he knows his stuff. He's on top of his game, ladies and gentlemen, and we're very fortunate to have this man. Give it up for Mr. Danny Eddy! Woo! Eddy! Oh, wow. Look at that. How are you, man?
Very good, Brian. Thank you. Yourself?
I am really, really well. All the better for seeing you. We're kindred spirits in our, 3-day growth, our shiny foreheads and our beautiful Saturday night shirts. Look at us.
I know. Any excuse to put a nice shirt on, one that I haven't slept in, I'm up for it.
So, yeah, you've been doing the whole tracky dack thing, and getting like really big. Look, me, I'm getting really, really big, but I don't know because my tracky dacks are just widening and the elastic is, it's saying, stop, Brian, stop eating, please.
I've actually lost a couple of kilos, I reckon.
What?
Because my wife is a mad keen exercise machine and she's normally off at the gym, and so I can ignore that. But now, well, she drags me out and says, okay, lift this, step up on that, do these star jumps. So, yeah.
Really? That sounds like my wife in the bedroom. Lift this, step up on that, do a star jump. It's exactly the same.
Too far already.
No, that you're the second guest this week that said that in the first 3 minutes. Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good that I'm informed. Hey, was that intro accurate? Was I right there about the passion for music and then wanting to pass on this legacy through your teaching?
Absolutely. It's always been such a huge passion for me throughout my whole life. I think anybody that knows me, I reckon I'm like, remember the guy in Forrest Gump who was just into shrimp? That's yes. Me. Every party, every conversation, everyone I talk to, I'm like, so what have you been listening to? It's always been. And passing that on to students, whether they're adults who pick up the guitar or kids, kids are just awesome because they're always happy and they just listen so eagerly. So, yeah, absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, and your YouTube channel, let's plug your YouTube channel. Where can people find you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm pretty old, so I don't really know much about how computers work. But
I reckon if they search Danny Eddy, that they will find your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Hopefully they will. Maybe I can shoot you a link.
Yeah.
To put on the Lockdown Lounge site.
Absolutely. Well, look, it's very passionate and a little quirky as well. There's a lot of to-camera sort of cutaways and things like that. And so your personality comes through, which I imagine you've learnt over the years to make sure that teaching is engaging.
Yeah, absolutely. It must be. And even more so, in this day and age when there are so many other entertainment commodities that can take people's attention with gaming and YouTube itself. And, it's always been hard. Like I've taught guitar since I was very young and it's always been a battle to keep kids practicing, but never as much as it is now when they have so many other things competing for their attention.
Yeah. And YouTube or online is such a great platform because that's where all the kids' heads are at now, isn't it? And so if you can utilize that and you're not afraid of the technology, and we were talking off air before of how much time goes into post-production. It's not just about being a master on the guitar. It's about, being able to produce videos that are engaging and lighting's right and the sound's right. There's so many elements to it, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. I've just been, I've hibernated in here in this very room at this very desk to produce those things, and my family can't believe how many hours I spend in here. And did you come to bed last night? I think so.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a passion, and one of the YouTube videos that I loved was your top 10 riffs of all time, and it's got me thinking, while you've got your guitar there throughout this interview, if I just say to you, Danny, give me a riff. Do you reckon you can just play a riff? And just at the most inopportune times, like right now, I'll say, Danny, give me a riff. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Oh, my God. I feel so powerful. Hey, one thing before I go on is that I noticed on some of the online chat is that I called you a Melbourne guitarist, and apparently that's very taboo for your Gippsland brethren. Is that correct?
Yeah, that goes back a long time. Our local pub venues down here, back in the 80s when I was first playing in a few pub gigs, quite often the local pubs would advertise in the newspaper certain bands as a top Melbourne band, and to try and draw the crowd. And it was quite an insult to us that, they wouldn't come and see their local band. They'll only come and see us if we're called a top Melbourne band.
I see. Yeah, okay, it all makes sense.
I hadn't thought about that for many years, but I did notice on your promotional post that when you called me a Melbourne guitarist, someone was very quick to jump on there.
I know, yeah, and we're all about the love and positivity here, so we try and stamp that shit out straight away. I was like, hey, anyone that's negatively impacted from the Lockdown Lounge will get a personal visit from me and an apology. So to that gentleman, I apologise. And to the broader Gippsland community for, trying to take you in as a Melburnian. You are a Gippslandian all the way.
That's right. I know, because it takes me so long to get home after a gig in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah. That's right. And look, because we have a few mutual friends, one in particular, he's told me a little story about a pub gig that you did many years ago where you wore a kilt and you got up on a bar and, you don't wear stuff under the kilt when you wear a kilt. And so is that story accurate, and was it a cold night or a warm night?
It's always a cold night. The story is accurate, but I was not brave enough to go full commando under the kilt. There's no way. I have some Irish heritage, but it was a Scottish kilt, and I just wore it because I think they're cool. But the first time I wore it on stage at a particular venue here in Traralgon, I did get groped all night. Like,
really?
I don't want to. It's not a them against us thing with men and women at all. But my God, there is some ruthless groping that goes on if you're brave enough to wear a kilt. So the time I got on the bar, I certainly wasn't going to be going commando.
Well, I heard that so when you were on the bar, people were looking up the kilt and saying, "Oh, I see bagpipes."
Well, the music was loud. I don't know what they said, but yeah, I did feel unsafe a couple of times.
Well, look, and I say this with all due sincerity, you're a very gropable man. You're a very, looking at you right now in your good Saturday night shirt and your 3-day growth and,
If only I had known about this conversation, I could have worn the kilt and surprised you when I stood up.
That would have been good. That's good for ratings. There's a new segment. Pets aren't good for ratings. Man in kilt with no underwear is good for ratings. Hey, Danny, play me a riff.
Oh, man. That wasn't one off my top 10.
You are so good. Hey, all the musos out there would realise how difficult that is and how much I've put you on the spot. And, the moment we say we're live on air, you can't really say, oh, no, Brian, I'm not up for it. So you are being such a good sport to do that. So thank you very much. All right. So you've been doing a little bit of online collabs and a lot of that kind of thing at the moment, obviously, because we can't go out anywhere. I've seen a couple of them with our good mutual friend, Mr. Jason Hopman, and that was the old high school band. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We first played together in high school, and I've missed him for many, many years. And as I'm sure you know, he was a bit of a latecomer to the world of social networking.
Right.
So it was great to see him finally pop up on FaceTube. But getting back to reconnecting and filling in with you guys was such a buzz. It was 20 odd years or more since we'd shared a stage. So and now the collab, the high school band doing a little mashup. It's great.
Fantastic. No, it was good and great sound too. So who did all the production on that one?
Jason. Yeah.
Jason.
He's always had a knack for that. Yeah.
He has. He's got a great ear, Jason. So that's good. I didn't know he did the post production on that. But the audio was great. Yeah. I thought the bass was exceptionally loud all the way through it, but now it all makes sense. Jeez,
no, it wasn't. No, not in comparison to the first mix he gave us.
Man. All right. Well, part of our show is chat and song, and we always love to shine a light on our artists' amazing talent. You have amazing talent, and tell us the first song you're going to do. Are you going to be singing as well on this one?
Yeah. I thought I'll do a bit of a sing and a strum. I feel pretty rusty, a bit nervous about it all, but I thought I'll do a John Mayer song. John Mayer's great for the acoustic guitar and vocals, as
fantastic.
I'm sure many viewers who play six strings will know. So one of his older tunes, Daughters, beautiful song, beautiful lyrics, which is another reason I chose this one, because I'm terrible at remembering lyrics, and I didn't want to step up here and read them off an iPad and stop halfway through the scroll. So Daughters by John Mayer, I'll give you a crack.
No worries. All right. So you're going to you've just got to set up, and so I'm going to do a little bit of introing here while you go and move your guitar around and set up and get into a position. So we've got Daughters by John Mayer by the amazing Danny Eddy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you will love this. I've been fortunate enough to play with Danny Eddy a couple of times, and he is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Daughters, Danny Eddy.
Know a girl, she puts the color inside of my world. She's just like a maze, all of the walls continually change. Now I've done all I can to stand on the steps with my heart in my hand. Now I'm starting to see maybe it's got nothing to do with me. So Father's been good to your daughters. Daughters will love like you do. Girls become lovers and turn into mothers. So mothers, be good to your daughters too. Oh, see that skin? It's the same she's been standing in since the day that she saw him walking away. Now she's left cleaning up the mess he made. Father's been good to your daughters. Daughters will love mothers be good for your daughters too. Boy, they can break, find out how much they can take. Boys will be strong, boys soldier on. Boys will be gone without the warmth from woman's good, good home. Oh man, my loop didn't start. On behalf of every man, looking out for every girl, you walk away in the goddamn world. Fathers, be good to your daughters. Daughters will love like you do. Girls become lovers, turn into mothers. Mothers, be good for your daughters too. Mothers, be good to your daughters too. Mothers, be good to your daughters too.
Woohoo! The best part of this job for me, I call it a job, it's not a job, it's a passion, is actually getting to sit here and watch and listen to guys like yourself, guys and girls like yourself, really showcase their talent. That was awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, did you know that we are sponsored by Cranberry Music?
I did know.
You did know. Yeah, I'm glad you knew, because that means my my live reads and my commercials are actually working. They're penetrating.
Well, I saw it on the check.
Oh.
Oh, do you not get it? Check.
I did not get the check. No. That's really annoying. No. So Cranberry Music are open. So their stores are open, people. So if you want to buy some instruments, in particular during this lockdown time, what better time to learn an instrument for yourself or your kids? You can go into the shop and they will look after you, or you can go online, you can click and collect, or you can get it delivered. Don't forget their stores are Limbrook Store and Elizabeth Street City Store. So please support them the way that they are supporting the music industry. Cranberry Music, we love you. There you go. Now, our new segment, Danny Eddy. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is the best entry so far, okay, that we've had from anyone. And I think because of the whole contrast thing, if you're like me and your haircut, your current haircut is a choice, right? Yeah, go with me. It's a choice. Can you go with me, please? Then seeing this image, well, actually, before we show the image, we have to play a sting. We've got a sting for this one, this new segment, ladies and gentlemen. The segment's called Back When I Thought I Was Cool. And let's play the sting first off. Play the sting.
Ooh, how you like me now? How you like me now? Ooh. Back when I thought I was cool.
Okay, so a little bit of wah guitar and a little bit of Brian's sexy voice. Yeah, thank you. I put a lot of time into that, And you know what? I had pictures of you when I was doing the voiceover just to get the right amount of sex into. That's not true. That's not true. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's see the image of Danny Eddy back when I thought I was cool. Holy crap. There it is. Wow.
What is going on? What is going on there?
That is beautiful. That is a beautiful head of hair that goes all the way down. And that's not, when I say all the way down, I don't even mean like back hair, which we all have now. I'm talking about from the head. Tell me, where was that? How was that? What were you thinking? Who were you?
Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sure I thought I was pretty damn cool though. But yeah, like the crushed velvet vest with nothing underneath. I don't know. I didn't work out. I shouldn't have been getting around like that. I had no business dressing like that. That was actually in Melbourne.
Hey!
At a Yamaha rock competition, if my memory serves.
Yep.
And I was playing at the time with our good friend Jason.
Really?
Sharing the stage. So there's probably a similar shot of him in some acid wash jeans or something else inappropriate from the same gig. But yeah, that's right.
Wow. And it just epitomizes what this segment is all about, because back when you thought you were cool at the time, and we all did this, we wore these outrageous costumes, had these outrageous looks, but we thought we were rock stars, didn't we?
I really wanted to find a picture. I just couldn't find one, but at one stage I was wearing like a velour jacket that had tassels hanging from the sleeves and pockets, and Jason for a while used to call me Tass for wearing that, and I thought it would be great to bring that out, and he'd get a real laugh out of it. But apart from, I think I still got the jacket. I could probably just put it on, but I didn't have a pick.
Man, that is leading entry. So back when I thought I was cool, and we finish off this segment by rolling the sting. Roll the sting.
Ooh, how you like me now? How you like me now? Ooh. Back when I thought I was cool.
Amazing. Thank you, Danny Eddy. I feel like I need to say your whole name whenever I refer to you.
I get that a lot.
You get that a lot? Hey, Danny Eddy, play us a riff. You are so good. You are so good. And I'm going to say it again. Musicians all over the country would be going, man, I would have never agreed to do what he's agreed to do, because I'm putting you on the spot so much. And you know, you are rising to the plate every time, which is why we've asked you to be on our humble show. So thank you again for agreeing to be on our little show. And, hopefully you enjoy it as much as we're enjoying you.
Thanks for having me. It's an honour. I feel very honoured.
Hey, we brought here because of the dreaded COVID-19 situation, and we always like to get into the deep chat, the serious chat. And it can be as serious or as light as you want it to be. But we just like to get your perspective on how you're coping with things and how your mental health is and your immediate network and even your observations on how we are coping as an industry and what the future looks like. We start off with gig cancellations, but I guess most people have sort of come up with the same story in terms of things they just got call after call after call. But I'm interested to see your perspective or what your dominant emotion was when you realised that this was serious.
It's an absolute dichotomy for me in that you probably don't know this, but a year ago I was I've never stopped gigging through my whole life, but I was in the office job and I'd been there for 20 years and I was the weekend warrior with the guitar, and I decided that this was my passion and I'd rather take a huge pay cut and play music and teach people than spend the rest of my life in an office cubicle achieving absolutely nothing of any value for society. Wow. Like most businesses. So
and what industry were you in?
I was working for the federal government.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, in a huge corporation that gets all corporate and silly and has way too many people achieving very little. So I'm sure there's people at home nodding along going, oh my God, that's my life. So I went, you know what does this money mean when my passion is elsewhere and, I'm going to do it. So I took a huge plunge and a huge risk and a huge pay cut to be a full-time guitar teacher, gigging musician. So this time last year, I was high-fiving myself and going, wow, I'm a gutsy dude. And, like, who could have thought that would happen?
Of course.
At the same time, my beautiful wife did the same thing, because she sings as well, but her passion is weddings. After singing numerous weddings with me and with other people, she became a celebrant, and her celebrant business really took off. So she did the same thing. So both of us were suddenly self-employed in industries that were the first to go.
Yeah.
So it really hit us hard. So that's obviously quite negative. But on the positive side, as we've talked about the YouTube stuff, I've had time to dedicate to the ideas that are always in my head, the collaborations with people. We always bump into other musicians and say, hey, we should do something together. And we never have time. Everyone's too busy. So there's that. There's the aspect of just the sheer volume of content, quality content that is now online from people that I probably would have never gotten to see up close performing in their bedroom, world famous artists and backline guys who play for, world famous touring artists. So they're all, you can get onto Instagram at any hour of the day or night, and one of those guys is live, and you can, there's never been a time like this. So, yeah, look, I guess get back to your mental health point, that has kept me sane in a really tough time. Not just sane, but very positive. Like, there's a lot of positivity in that for me to be able to watch that stuff and really get into that. But what I have to constantly remind myself of and be wary of is that I'm not the only person in this household. So, yeah, it might be okay for my head to sit here and noodle away and create clips and watch David Ryan Harris clips on Instagram or whatever. But, there's a 3-year-old and a missus out there that are missing me and don't have such a passionate hobby that they can fulfill within these 4 walls. So I need to go out there and do star jumps and shit like that sometimes. So
it's a really interesting point, and it is a little off track, but we've never really discussed it on this show. Is when you're a musician, you spend so much time by yourself working on your craft in your bedroom, in your garage, and you're very accustomed to that life. And when all of a sudden you're in a relationship or a partnership, you really have to be conscious of allocating time for your partner and making sure that you're, giving the energy back to the relationship and things like that. It's a really interesting point, isn't it, for musicians everywhere?
It really is. And I don't think there's any household where there's, a couple and one of them's a musician or both that is 100% harmonious on that point. Yet not to say that it's a constantly negative thing, but it is a taxing, it's a time-heavy hobby to have. Like, no one is at the top of their game if they're only picking up the guitar once a week.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of your other little side gigs is the food van as well, which would have been hit, I imagine, as soon as one of the food industry or the catering industry was hit big time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And that was only just getting legs. That was a really new undertaking for both of us. So, and our target, our demographic was weddings. So again, yeah, that's been that van has been parked in the front yard and hasn't done much else. It's got beer taps in it though, so I don't know about you, but I'm certainly giving the beer a bit of a nudge.
Yeah, everything but Coronas I'm up for.
Of course.
And so how is your mental health? How have you felt that you've coped with it, and the prospect of how long we're going to be out of work for, potentially the fact that the entertainment industry is probably going to be one of the last to sort of get back to some normality? Have you absolutely confronted that prospect?
Yeah, I have. I feel, well, to go back to day one, I had a bit of a meltdown. I think more, fear-driven about the whole thing very early on. I was really shaken by it, but it wasn't just a, oh my God, what am I going to do financially thing. It was more to do with, I've got adult children. I've got a couple of boys that are in their 20s, and your kids are always your kids, and you just want to protect them. And it was an absolutely gut-wrenching feeling to see all this horror on the news and to not be able to say, right, you two, get in here. And I've also got a daughter, primary school age daughter, who's, myself and her mother had to make the decision, right, which house will she stay at until it's safe enough to resume that sort of back and forth thing. So those sorts of things I really hit me hard. I had a few days there where I was just an absolute mess because everything was out of my control, and the people that I loved most in the world I couldn't physically protect. Not that I could do much anyway, apart from lock them up and not let them do anything.
Yeah.
But, that was the hardest thing for me. But then, calm down about that and realise that everyone's sensible and everyone's going to look after themselves and everyone's as safe as they can be. Then it's coping with, okay, what bills have we got? How do we pay these bills? And so, from that point on, I haven't felt any dramas from the mental health side of things. I think, if anything, I've made the joke a few times, the more hours I spend in here playing music like this, I'm like, I don't think I need to hang around people after this is over. Oh, they're fine. I'll do my thing.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar to our production manager and the guitarist in my band, Mr. T&J, who's he says, I've been self-isolating all my life. I'm cool. I'm cool with it. So look, everyone has different perspectives. You touched on your sons, both of whom are musicians. Is that correct?
Yeah, both excellent musicians themselves.
Yeah. And so they're, I guess, part of your vulnerability extends to them and their profession, and they're at the prime of their careers and opportunities, and all of a sudden that's been taken away from them too. So it's a big thing to deal with, isn't it?
It's incredibly big, and you never quite know what level of resilience another individual has. Doesn't matter how well you know them, unless you're watching them every minute of the day. So there's those sort of concerns as well. But they're sensible lads, and they're practicing and doing whatever else guys do in their early 20s when they're not at pubs.
I wouldn't know. It's too long ago from me. But your point is very valid. I mean, you can really utilise this time to hone your craft, can't you, as a musician? If you can't go out anywhere, just practice, and that comes down to one of my bullet points here is I guess what you're trying to do to be proactive and to sort of set yourself up so that when we come out of this, that you feel that everything's in place for you to springboard.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. It's there's a lot of thinking time, isn't there? There's a lot of, if you're anything like me, every time I go for a run or have a bit of time away from an instrument, my head just fills with the ideas that I want to do, that I want to promote. And so I keep thinking now, right, I've got time. I'm going to rein in that person and that person. I'm going to do this project. I'm going to, all that stuff to get back out there after it's all done and dusted. But to get back to an earlier point, it's probably going to look very different. As you said, our industry might be one of the last to get back on its feet. And I wonder if it'll look quite different. In fact, like I've already got a couple of online paid gigs, which I didn't foresee that happening. So if that's happening already, why would that sort of thing stop for certain functions in the future? Because we've all seen over the years the decline in, back in the day, back in the 80s and early 90s, every pub was absolutely packed. And if there was a live band, it was over capacity and there was no OH&S going on. Whereas that's petered off with so many other things competing for people's attention. So maybe the online gig might be a thing in our future.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And the other point I would make is that there's been such a spotlight shone on the entertainment industry and how important entertainers, musicians are to the well-being, the health, mental health of everyone, now that they can't have it. And because there's been such a big surge in online streaming and things like that, people are appreciating, the artistry, the time, and I'd like to say from shows like ours that are putting a spotlight on, what it takes to be at the top of your game with artists like yourself, the time and effort. So I think there's a greater appreciation across the board. And I would hope that we come out of this where people aren't asking, musos to do free gigs or to, that kind of mentality. They really appreciate and value, a lifetime of work to be able to deliver performances like you did earlier and like you will soon. Even if I just say to you, Danny, Eddy, play me a riff right now.
Oh, bit of R&B there.
You are amazing. You are amazing. Hey, we've spoken a little bit about the whole mental health thing, and we have an e-commerce platform that's linked to our website, lockdownlounge.live, where we have all of our videos, all of the artists that we've interviewed, so you can go and watch them over and over and over and over again. I mentioned on Thursday night, a lot of our female demographic just like to splice out the bits that I'm in and watch it over and over again, but that's okay. I'm sure some will watch your bits over and over again too, Danny, Eddy, but to all my female fans out there, when I say all my female fans, I'm just speaking to my wife. Hi. I'll be out of the bedroom soon and into the other bit. I've digressed. Anyway, lockdownlounge.live, and we have the e-commerce platforms, all our artists. Some artists nominate themselves as the charity because they are struggling, and we encourage people to donate to them. And you can see those on our website. Tell us who you've nominated, Danny.
I'm nominating Support Act, which really gets back to the point you were just making, Brian, about artists and whether they kind of get the respect and recognition that is deserved. So, we've all seen numerous moves by our federal government to put support measures, all sorts of generous support measures in place for different groups and so on. But the arts is always left till last and left for the crumbs from the table. So, yeah, I think it's a great cause for those reasons.
Yep. And we encourage everybody out there to write to their local member or to state, federal governments and say, hey, look after the entertainment industry, because whenever you have a celebration, whenever you do anything, the first thing you do is you call up musicians to, make or break the night. And entertainers are suffering out there because we've fallen through the cracks and we haven't been recognised with the, the JobKeeper and all that kind of stuff. So write to your local government, tell them, hey, we want to look after our entertainers because we want to make sure people like Danny, Eddy are out there and can buy food and can buy underwear so that next time they wear their kilt, they're not just showing off their bagpipes. Danny, Eddy.
Yes.
We have come to your second song. Tell us what song you've chosen and why you've chosen that.
I've chosen How Deep Is Your Love, fantastic Bee Gees classic. Look, my reasons, I don't tend to overthink these things too much. I'm sure I will overthink my choices for songs over the next week. I'll go, oh, what didn't I do? But, I've been locked away in here and I've been playing music very differently than I normally would, which is, the technical guitar stuff for my YouTube channel, as opposed to songs, which is what people normally pay me to play, sing a song and strum a few chords. So this is one that I only recently added to the catalogue. I've always loved it, but it's just got some beautiful chords and beautiful melody, and I'll do a kind of I hope I don't stuff it up version.
You will not. You will not. You will make everybody go, gee, I love that song, and they're going to download it. Or they're just going to replay this over and over again. And, some of my female demographic might, swap over to a bit of Danny Eddy time other than just Brian time. So I'm going to let you set up. I know you've got to go set up there again. So, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Danny Eddy playing the Bee Gees classic. I'm really getting good at these intro things. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Danny Eddy playing the Bee Gees classic, How Deep Is Your Love, coming to you live from the Lockdown Lounge.
I know your eyes in the morning sun. I feel you touch me in the pouring rain. And the moment that you wander far from me, I wanna feel you in my arms again. And you come to me on a summer breeze, keep me warm with your love, then you softly leave. And it's me you need to show. How deep is your love, oh baby? I really mean to learn, 'cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down, and they all should let us be. We belong to you and me. I believe in you. I see the door to my very soul. You're the light in my deepest, darkest hour. I wanna be with you where I fall. And you may not think that I care for you, but know down inside that I really do, yeah. And it's me you need to show. How deep is your love? Ooh, yeah. I really mean to learn, 'cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down, and we all should let us be. We belong to you and me. And you may not think that I care for you, no, down inside that I really do. Me, you need to show. How deep is your love? Oh, yeah. I really mean to learn, 'cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down, and we all should let us be. We belong to you and me.
Wow. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Man, that was so good. How'd it feel for you?
Yeah, good. That just reminded me that one of my favourite things about music is a sense of surprise. When you hear a note or a phrase and you weren't expecting it. That's what's beautiful about music. And being as a solo artist, it's quite hard to surprise yourself. You know what you're about to play or sing, so that rarely happens. But I did a loop in that, and I did a little chord substitution that must have popped into my head, and when it came back around, it surprised me, and I was woo.
That's amazing.
That moment.
That's amazing that you can do that, and that you can change it up, because most of our audience would expect that, okay, he's got this down pat, he's going to do exactly, but you just felt you went where you felt it needed to go, and you went with it, which is what music is all about. I love it. So, Danny Eddy, one of our favourite segments on this show. It's got world acclaim. It's being streamed everywhere. I've gone viral, so I've been told. It's Gig Chicken, and everyone that's played in a band knows that whenever you do a corporate function, you get chicken, you get boiled chicken, you get sliced chicken, diced chicken, any other chicken you can think of, Danny?
No.
Well,
Schnitz?
You get schnitz chicken. You get all kinds of chicken, and we call it Gig Chicken. And so we've got a segment where we ask you a series of questions. If you get it right, you will get chicken in the mail. But before we do that, we have to play the sting. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gig Chicken sting. There it is. And we always ask our guests to harmonise on the count of 3 of Gig Chicken. You know, you've got to put in the latency issues and make it work, okay? 1, 2, 3. Gig Chicken!
Sorry, I didn't rehearse that one.
You left me. You left me dry like an old chicken, Danny Eddy. Danny Eddy, play me a riff. Amazing. Fleetwood
Mac.
Okay, so high stakes. Actually, it's not steaks, it's chicken. High chickens. I can make myself laugh all evening, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday night here. Okay, so you are going to be asked a series of questions, and if you get it right, you will receive Gig Chicken in the mail. It takes 4 to 78 days for it to arrive, business days. Danny Eddy, the best gig you have ever played?
Wow, that's a huge question. I mean, it goes without saying, the big city beat feeling that I...
You've won Gig Chicken, yeah!
Please send the popcorn chicken too.
Yes.
Yeah, look, in all honesty, though, that was a really fun gig because you probably don't know this, but I love a good mashup myself. I love a medley.
Yes.
And I rarely do a gig without doing a medley. So, you know, Bogan medley, Queen medley. Yeah, it was a gig after my own heart. It was a really good, fun night.
It was a good, and you, and I say this a lot because whenever you have fill-in players, you know, people just say, "Oh, he's a good player. He'll be able to do a fill-in." To me, it's not about being a good player. It's about somebody that does their homework. And when you do your homework and you are a good player, then the magic happens, and you are ticked both those boxes big time. Which, you know, we really appreciate as a band leader, someone that's gone to the trouble of doing the homework. You know the forms of all the songs, you know the intros and the outros, and you just come in. And then, you know, for someone like me who's a front man who's relying on everyone to do their part so that I can be an idiot, it's a joy. So thank you. Anyway, Gig Chicken's not about me. It's about you. So best gig you've ever played? Yeah,
look, it'd have to be, as a father of a couple of talented musicians, the gigs that I do with my lads. My eldest son, Miles, is a drummer, and he did his first full gig with me when he was probably 9 years old.
Wow.
And I've never gotten over looking around and having those fellas on the stage with me. It's an amazing buzz, and I feel very fortunate to have something that's a strong connection. You know, as a father, you go through ups and downs with your relationships with your kids, and I'm sure I gave my dad hell as a teenager and a young fella, but to have that connection is just brilliant. So, fantastic. Yeah, that's the first thing that springs to mind is I don't think of a particular gig, but that feeling of sharing a stage with those guys. No, that's great. And do you still get to play with them often? Well, not at the moment, of course, but no. But yeah, look, probably Miles more than Indy. Indy's he's a fantastic guitarist and bass player, but I'm a guitarist, so I don't, unless someone wants a band with extra members. So basically, you're saying there can only be room for one. Yeah, and he's too good. If he was a bit shit, he could get more
Then
work
you
with me.
yeah. Then you can just say, okay, we'll take turns of solos, and then but no.
Now watch the old man.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, you're winning Gig Chicken so far. Danny, Eddy, weirdest gig you've ever played?
Oh, wow. Look, one of a gig, getting tongue-tied. A gig I did very early in life was a wedding, a fill-in for a local band, older guys at like a local bowls club, and whatever reason their guitarist wasn't there. So I was just coming in as the guitarist, and then at the last minute their drummer couldn't make it, and my brother is a drummer, and I dragged him along. So it was a band that, we didn't know what we were going to do. Half the guys hadn't met, but it was a shotgun wedding, like an old-fashioned, you must marry our daughter that you got pregnant.
Wow.
And so the two halves of the family were absolutely, they just hated each other. And so we did like half a dinner music set. We just did a few tunes, and someone came up and said, just cut it, guys, for the moment, after we'd only done like 3 songs. So the guys that we were playing with fancied the pokies, so they took off to the pokies room. Me and my brother sat in this wedding that was just silent, just people staring at each other across the room. And we're thinking, and my band at the time, I was in a wedding band that was like a 3-minute break wedding band. Okay, come on guys, let's get back on. We just played all night long. We did like 12 sets a gig. We just never stopped. And so to sit there for all this time, I just felt really bad. And I kept going into the pokies room and saying to these older fellas, should we go and play? And they're like, they'll come and get us.
Yeah.
Anyway, my brother and I went to the pool room, played a few games of pool. Eventually we stumbled back in and we got back up to play that song. And I think we only did one song, like tried to get people up and dance. It was probably a foxtrot. And and they came up and went, just wrap it up, boys.
Wow.
Money. So we did 3 songs, and
wow,
it was very, very bizarre. It was the most negative vibed wedding I've ever seen. It's crazy.
We've had a few wedding responses to that question. I don't know if you saw DJ Claire Elliott when she was on. They couldn't find the groom when they were doing the circle for the end, and he was out getting it on with one of the staff members.
Oh, no.
So yeah, as musicians, you get exposed to some different parts of society, and but we roll with it because we're professional beings, aren't we? We just roll with it and keep going.
Actually, another one's just popped into my mind.
Tell me.
Found a little bit weird. A guy approached me one night at a solo gig at a local pub here, and he said, "It's my girlfriend's birthday tomorrow. Like, this is a Friday, it's Saturday morning. Girlfriend's birthday. Can you come and sing that bloody it'll pop into my head in a minute, this syrupy love song. Can you come and sing it to her on the doorstep? Here's our address tomorrow morning. I'll drop off some flowers for you." So we disappeared on stage at the pub, did a few more songs. He comes back in with a bunch of flowers. So people see this guy walk through the pub and give me a bunch of flowers. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all right. You weren't wearing the kilt, were you?
No, not at that time.
Okay.
No, completely naked by then.
Okay.
So he gives me those. He gives me the address. And so, next morning I'll get up. He wanted it early, crack of dawn, and I go around to this house and knock on the door. And this poor girl is just out of bed, hair everywhere, jammies, is rubbing her eyes, thinking, who's this idiot waking me up this early? And I'm there with flowers and a guitar. You're beautiful. What's that? That bloody...
Yeah. And did they get it on afterwards? Did it work for him?
I have no idea, but it was the most awkward 3 minutes of my life, just staring face to face at someone who wanted to hide behind the door and singing a love song to her.
There you go. We have a lot in common. I've had many, many awkward 3 minutes in my life, but it's another time, another story.
That's staying power.
Yes. When you combine all my 3 minutes, it's like, hey, this man's Herculean. Okay, question 3, Gig Chicken. Last time you were nervous?
Well, 8 minutes ago. I do. I always carry nerves. It doesn't matter how many gigs I do. I always have a level of nervousness.
Yep.
And yeah, that can be more or less depending on how many times I've played that venue or how well I know any of the people or
Yeah.
what song I've been asked to learn or whatever it might be. So, yeah, just it never goes away. I get a real buzz of nerves.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, it's and it's probably positive nerves. I would put it down, and it's care factor nerves because you want to do a good job because you care about the outcome, and I reckon that's a good thing. Alrighty, question 4: most requested song.
Oh, well, I'm sure everyone's saying the same thing at the moment. It's the bloody horses, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to change this question. Okay, in fact, I'm going to do it on the spot. What's your favourite song to sing?
Oh, wow. I love Sting and the Police.
Yep.
I mean, I can't really sing anything like Sting.
Yep.
But
you do a version of him or a version of it?
Yeah, so I love songs like Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. I love doing that one.
Give me a little bit. Give me a few bars.
Oh, man. I haven't done it for ages. Something like that. Anyway.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, Sting or like Michael Jackson, Rock With You. What a song.
Ah, yes.
I love pulling that one out. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay. I think you know what? I'm going to change question 4 to the song that you most love to perform because I think everyone's getting bored with hearing horses every time. I think we can say absolutely that Horses is the most requested song at the moment. So come on, people, get over Horses.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
A few years now. I have no idea why that came back.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, I don't know. Okay. Question 5. Most famous person you've met or performed for?
Well, back in the day, when Jason and I were in an originals band, we used to seek support slots for touring artists. And so most of the people that I've met of any fame came from that era and that meeting them in that way. And probably the top of those for me was Susie Quattro because I just always loved Susie. I absolutely.
Yes.
And when I was a young guy learning guitar and I was self-taught and developing my ear for working songs out, I had a Susie Quattro album along with Deepest Purple.
Of course, before, yes.
That I worked out from cover to cover every song on this Susie Quattro thing. So when, to see her standing in front of us, and I only met her for like 12 seconds. She was just racing out. But I got her to sign my guitar.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
White guitar there has Susie Quattro's signature on it.
Oh, my God. That is amazing.
So I played at that support slot and, she signed it. But it's one of those unreal things when you go, this person is a human. They're actually, they exist. They're not just an album cover.
Yeah. And so would that be sort of 80s, late 80s? Would that have been?
Early 90s.
Yep, early 90s. Okay, yeah.
Time.
Fantastic. Well, that's a good one. Susie Quattro is a good one, especially for all the rock musos out there. So, look, I'm delighted to say that you have won Gig Chicken, Danny Eddy. So chicken will be sent to you by courier in the mail. Will arrive between 4 and 78 days, business days, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Gig Chicken. Roll the sting. Gig Chicken. Okay, and I haven't said this for a while, but people do write us letters, and they want me to repeat my jokes because they are so good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to say that some chickens were hurt during the making of that sting emotionally. Okay, so there you go. Danny Eddy, play me a riff.
Oh, hang on.
Man, you are so good. You are so good. Anyone else would have said no to doing this. They would have said, just stop rolling the tape. But you have been so gracious. And so do you prefer playing the acoustic or the electric? Do you have a preference, or do you just see them as totally different ways to express yourself? Obviously,
yeah, look, they're probably on a par. Yeah, totally different. And yeah, that's a really good question, because there are plenty of gigs. I do a lot of solo gigs, and the decision as to whether I take my electric guitar or my acoustic is always a really tough one. And it usually comes down to, do I want to carry an amp for my electric?
Yes.
So, yeah, look, I love both, and I love the freedom when you play with a band and you can play electric and you don't have to make all the sound and all the percussion.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. But then on the other hand, there's a lot to be said for doing all of that stuff at a solo gig. So.
Yeah, it's a massive sort of creative outlet, isn't it? And so a lot of your online stuff is electric guitar. So I encourage people to check it out, because it's great stuff. In particular, the 10 favourite riffs of all time, and it's not just about the playing or the demonstrating. You tell stories, and you really get an insight into your passion and why you've chosen them. And you're a real student of music history as well. You know the players, and you know what they've done, and you know the sounds that they've gone for, which is really, really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. You're right. It is a passion. That's a word I use regularly in talking about that stuff. So, yeah. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. I've got to keep remembering that sometimes I blurt out a whole lot of stuff, but I don't have a question at the end of it. And then the interviewer is going, am I meant to say anything or something? So, yeah, I was actually waiting for you to say something, but I didn't finish it, with that end of it as if it was a question. I just said, so that's all right. That's my lack of skills there. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Eddy has been an amazing guest for us on this Saturday night, keeping us entertained while we've been locked down. Don't forget, on Tuesday night, we have, and you did a Bee Gees song, so we have Tony Richards, who is based in Vegas with the Australian Bee Gees band. So he's been there for the last, I reckon, about 10 years doing Vegas with the Australian Bee Gees band. He's the bass player. Also a really, really good friend of mine. He's going to be on Tuesday night and give us an insight into what it's been like playing in Vegas and what the situation is over there as well. And the Australian Bee Gees band have been enormous. They have done amazing, amazing gigs. And so this is a great, great interview, which we're lucky to have been able to secure. We always finish the night with a closing segment. Don't go away, Danny Eddy, because we want one more little pearl of wisdom from you before we close the night. But we bring you a funny video of how people are coping with lockdown. And this particular lady was coping with lockdown by ordering a children's book online. I don't know why she was ordering the children's book, but anyway, it's called Brenda's Beaver. Okay. And then she goes about reading this children's book, and her reaction to reading it is just as funny as the actual book. This actually goes for a little while, I must say. It goes for a little while, but there's a lot of laughs to be had. Brenda's Beaver, take it away.
Hey, everybody. If you are as bored as I have been with this quarantine, I thought I would read you the new child's book I ordered offline. It is called Brenda's Beaver Needs a Barber. Trust me, you're going to love this. Brenda has a beaver, and she's ready to confess. As soft and sweet as it may seem, her beaver is a mess. Brenda's beaver's big. Brenda's beaver's hairy. Every guy who sees it says that Brenda's beaver's scary. Brenda took her beaver for a swim down at the lake. By the looks that she received, she figured that was a mistake. She stuffed that furry mound into a swimming suit. It stuck out all around. It was anything but cute. This is great. Some who saw it laughed. Others were just stunned. Brenda's beaver was hanging out, soaking up the sun. Her friends could not believe her. They said, "We need to talk." They covered up her beaver and they took her for a walk. "Brenda, dear, listen here. We want to help you out. Your beaver needs a makeover. It needs it now." I hope we don't seem pushy, said her biker friend Kim. "Your beaver is too bushy. We just think it needs a trim." Savannah pulled her beaver back to show off what she had done. Hers had a nice long landing patch. It looked like it'd be fun. Chrissy's beaver is quite rare. It could be worth $1 million. Hers is bare. It has no hair. Her beaver must be a Brazilian. I swear I have not been drinking yet. Catherine let her beaver loose. She said there's nothing to it. Grab some clippers and a can of mousse, and we'll show you how to do it. Kim produced some scissors, and Chrissy had some wax. There they are. Getting ready to trim up that beaver. Now all that Brenda had to do was sit back and relax. There she is relaxing. Oh, God, this is great. As they came towards her beaver, they said, "Do not be scared. We're going to see what's underneath that frumpy pile of hair." It ended in just minutes. They did not leave her much. When Brenda's friends were finished, she said her beaver blushed. Her beaver was so tiny. They could not believe their eyes. It was smooth and it was shiny. It was hard to recognize. Now, Brenda is so proud. It seems like every time we see her, she is in the center of the crowd showing off her beaver. The end. The end.
Okay, I told you that was spectacular. So I would not recommend reading that book to your children, but there you go. Danny, Eddy, you have been a wonderful, wonderful guest. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence tonight. Can you play a riff for me?
Ooh,
I so want to rock with you again, Danny, Eddy. I so do want to rock with you again. Hey, we always ask our guests to leave us with a message. It can be a COVID-19 related message, or it just can be a message to all of your fans out there in the valley, not in Melbourne, out in the valley, but you've got new fans in Melbourne too now as a result of this. So any last message you'd like to leave for our 88,000 viewers?
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say a huge thanks to yourself for, in the episodes I've watched and our chat tonight, bringing up how people are travelling and getting a little bit personal with that. It's something that's never easy for guys, and I think it's just such an important and touching thing that you do that. So, yeah, I just want to call that out and say a huge thanks to you, mate. It's important stuff, so it's good.
No. Yeah,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say thank you. That's very nice of you to say. We love what we do, and we love that we are, only in a very small way, but just contributing to some kind of positivity in a really sort of awkward time for our industry. And that's all we're trying to do, is just sort of bring people together. And, hopefully when we come out of this, we've left some kind of legacy of positivity and a better understanding of our industry, perhaps.
Absolutely. And if there's anything I've learned during this time that I will change after this time, I will be teaching all my students how to tune their own guitars, because sitting at a computer and going, nah, this one, no, the other way, play it again.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't. Isn't it funny? Unintended consequences. So you probably have always at the start of each lesson go, okay, yeah, I'll tune it up for you, and never thought twice. Yeah. And now it's like, guys, you got to know. Yeah. Man, you have been such a wonderful guest, such a great human. We are so fortunate. All of our guests, just wonderful people, as well as wonderful artists and musicians and DJs and things like that. We're very, very lucky to have you come on and give us some time. And we're very, very lucky to have the amazing people from Cranbourne Music who have come on board and supported us, and more importantly, supported the music industry. So I'm going to use my radio voice. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Cranbourne Music, our stores are open, Lynbrook and Elizabeth Street, City. You can shop online and click and collect or get it delivered. Go in, say good day, tell them Brian sent you. How was that?
Beautiful. That was sexy. Can you say Brenda's Beaver one more time?
Brenda's Beaver. Danny, Eddy, can you play me one more riff, please?
Well, I think I'm out of riffs.
Amazing. You have been a wonderful guest, so gracious, and thanks for, coming on board with my crazy idea, which I've just slapped on you at the last moment, play riffs throughout the thing. You have been wonderful. Thank you again. We are live from the Lockdown Lounge. I'm your host, Brian Rolt. I know this because it says so just down there. We hope you've had a great Saturday night. We'll see you on Tuesday night with the Australian Bee Gees, Tony Richards, live from the Lockdown Lounge. Good night. Brenda's Beaver.